Hey, it's A Humble Collector here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the 4-panel death card for Jakob and Josef Stecher. And I'm going to start right off. This was a weird card to research for a lot of reasons, but we'll get into that in a second. So going from panel 1 here. For the sake of your holy wounds, O Jesus, have mercy on the poor souls. My Jesus, mercy. That's an indulgence of 300 days each time, as laid out by Pius X, 1911. Going to the interior, we have a very nice and unusual photo of Jakob and Josef together, actually, which you don't see too often. But going from the second panel here, we have a giant Iron Cross stamp, and then prayer memorial to Jakob Stecher, bearer of the Iron Cross Second Class, Obergefreiter in the Gebirgsjager Regiment, Botenbauer's son from Vorlhem, killed on August 10th, 1941 in combat in the East at the age of 28, and his brother Josef Stecher, Gefreiter in the Gebirgsjager Regiment, Botenbauer's son from Vorlhem, fell on September 10th, 1941 in combat in the East at the age of 27 for their beloved homeland. Now, a couple weird things here. So first of all, Botenbauer's son, I couldn't get a good translation for Botenbauer. I think I've run into this before where like sometimes they'll use the name of like the farm that the family lived at, so that could be what was happening here, but not 100% sure there. The other thing is, for some reason, it says they were in Gebirgsjager regiments. That's just completely wrong. I found casualty records for both of them. Neither of them were in Gebirgsjager regiments. And as we're going to get into here, the dates of death have been swapped because I found the casualty records for both of them, but Jakob was killed in September and Josef was killed in August. So I have no idea what was happening, but as you can imagine, this took me a long time to kind of sort out, and I still have quite a few questions. But starting with Jakob, Volksbund notes that Jakob died September 12th, 1941, which is a little different than September 10th. But his casualty record notes that he died September 18th. So I have no idea what's going on there, but it seems like everything else lines up. This is the right guy. But he was born on March 14th, 1913, and was a member of the 5th Company of Infantry Regiment 488, which was part of the 268th Infantry Division. And he was actually killed by a tank shot to the head at Shmakovo, which took me forever to find, but I actually did find a period map, and then once I found that map, it still took me a long time to find Shmakovo, but it's on the Strayana River south of Yonya, and at the time that Jakob was killed, the Yonya salient had been evacuated by the Germans, and there was heavy fighting all along the front there. And I do actually have quite a few casualty records from members of the 268th Infantry Division. Franz Priller was a Gefreiter in the 10th Company of Infantry Regiment 488 and was killed by a head injury at Maninviller, France on June 19th, 1940. Alois Wicknagel, who was an Unteroffizier in the 10th Company of Infantry Regiment 488, and he was killed by a headshot at Gobiati, Ukraine on June 28th, 1941. Ludwig Mondlinger, who was a Gefreiter in the Company 14, which is the Panzer Abwehr Company of Infantry Regiment 488, was killed at Dubrovka, Russia on September 28th, 1941. Hermann Brockel was an Obergefreiter in the 12th Company of Infantry Regiment 468 and died of pneumonia at Königsberg on January 25th, 1942. Albert Meyer, who was a Gefreiter in the 2nd Company of Infantry Regiment 488, was killed by a headshot at Novaya Drevnya on February 19th, 1942. Mikkel Hammerl was a Funker in the 1st Company of Nachrichten Abteilung 268 and was killed at Maloye Vasilkovo on April 21st, 1942. Johann Eigner was a Schütze in the 5th Company of Infantry Regiment 468 and was killed by a headshot at Pavlovo, Russia on September 11th, 1942. Georg Meyerhofer was an Obergefreiter in Battery 5 of Artillery Regiment 268 and was killed by an artillery shot to both feet at Slusna, Russia on August 7th, 1943. And Xavier Wolfel was an Obergefreiter in the 13th Company of Grenadier Regiment 488 and was killed by a direct artillery hit also at Slusna, Russia, just a day later on August 8th, 1943. So quite a few cards for other members of the 268th. And then moving to Josef, I found his casualty record as well. He was born on March 22nd, 1914, and served in Company 9 of the 438th Infantry Regiment, which was part of the 132nd Infantry Division. And what's weird that I found looking on Lexicon de Wehrmacht, which is one of my main sources, the 438th was apparently made up from parts of the 468th and 488th Grenadier Regiment, which, as we just discussed, the 488th is the unit that Jakob died in. So I'm wondering if Jakob and Josef actually served in the same regiment at one point, and then Josef got sent to this new 438th and they got separated at that point. Very unusual. I'm not really sure what to make of that, but certainly a possibility. And his casualty record is also very weird. He apparently went missing on August 10th and was then found dead on the Rzhyschchiv-Piutsi Road on August 19th with no cause of death listed. It just said they found him. So it's a bit unclear if he actually, like, disappeared during the fighting and got separated from his unit and then was killed a few days later, or if he died on August 10th and then they didn't find him till August 19th. But it says they found him on the road, so it feels weird that they wouldn't have found his body for over a week. The only other thing I can think of is maybe they were taking casualties they were finding out in the field and lying them along the road for people to identify, maybe. But still, kind of unusual. And I do actually have the unit history for the 132nd, which is Unlit an meiner Seite. And unfortunately, there's really nothing good for the day that Josef was killed. However, we do have a map here, and we can actually see Piutsi is behind the flag there. And we can see Rzhyschchiv as well. So somewhere around this region is where his body was found, and that kind of lines up with everything we were seeing. And then moving to the bottom of panel 3 here, we have Sacred Heart of Christ, Have Mercy on the Dying Warriors, 300 Days Indulgence, Our Father, Hail Mary. And then moving to the reverse of the card, panel 4 is blank. But yeah, overall, really interesting card. Like I said earlier, you don't really see cards where the two brothers are actually in the same photograph very often, so that's unusual, especially with them wearing their greatcoats here. I didn't comment on that earlier, but that's also kind of odd. But yeah, just a really weird card all around. Like, this took me hours to kind of sort out what I was able to find. And I guess before we finish up here, for the 132nd Infantry Division, I do have a few other cards. Andreas Zettel was a Gefreiter in the 1st Company of Infantry Regiment 437 and was killed by a gut shot on the Crimean Peninsula on December 25th, 1941. Berthold Hemmel was a Gefreiter in the 4th Company, which is the Heavy Machine Gun Company of Infantry Regiment 436, and was killed by a headshot on the Crimean Peninsula on May 11th, 1942. Ludwig Freundorfer was a Feldwebel in the 4th Company of Grenadier Regiment 437 and was killed during an air raid in Kreuzberg, Germany on December 6th, 1944. And Ludwig Reitinger was a Stabsgefreiter in the 6th Company of Grenadier Regiment 438 and was killed by artillery shrapnel to the stomach and arm in Feiern, Germany on December 23rd, 1944. But yeah, overall, still a very interesting card. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.